False news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I get
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
but the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
These are the Psywar soldiers.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host, producers, or any affiliated organization. This podcast may include sensitive discussion related to topics such as child protection, abuse, and criminal behavior. The content is intended for informational, educational, and awareness purposes only, does not constitute legal, medical, or professional advice. Any reference to individuals, cases, or events are based on personal perspective, professional experience, or publicly available information and should not be interpreted as statements of fact regarding any specific person or situation. The host, speakers, and producers disclaim any liability for actions taken by listeners based on the content of this podcast. Listeners are encouraged to seek qualified professional guidance for their specific circumstances. Listeners' discretion is advised. All individuals are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. All right, guys, welcome to Thursday's night's Caught Up edition. We have special guest Heath Bettag. Am I saying that correctly, Heath?
Yeah.
In the house, Truth Patriot, guy that we've been talking back and forth probably for about the last few months. And in the description is his YouTube account and what he stands for. I believe his page is called Truth Patriot. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then on here you go, what hashtag CC? What is
Two
that?
arms.
Two arms.
Yeah. Citizens call to arms.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So tonight's show, I didn't pick any topics because I think what we'll talk about is probably going to be interesting anyway, just casual conversation that carries on into whatever. But in the beginning, when I first met Heath through Facebook, it was kind of like this little epic battle that we had going on, you know, where you were posting stuff, I was commenting, and you were commenting back, and it was kind of like, I don't know, sometimes I felt like I got the like the last laugh that day, and then other days it'd be like, damn, man, I can't believe you had that there. You know what I mean? And so over time, I thought, I wonder it'd be cool if he'd come on the show. So
in a lot of the ways, it's rude of me, but I do that on purpose. I mean, it's because it's real simple. When you think about politics, whether you look at it from a nationwide standpoint or you look at it from a worldwide standpoint, in my lifetime, I have watched day-to-day life progressively spiral downward. It doesn't matter. If we go back to when I was a kid and we had the first gay that I remember that we had as president, Rainbow Ronnie. That might be new to some people. They might not have known that he was gay. I mean, but prior to meeting and marrying Nancy Reagan, which that was a whole cover story just to get him better adjusted for the political stage, you know. But from the time that I can first remember, every 4 years, every couple years, the so-called politicians change, but our life has gotten worse. It's not gotten better. And when I was a kid, it was, oh, I can't wait till I'm 18. I'm 21. I'm gonna do what I want, and I'm gonna change the world, and because this crap is messed up. And now we're at a point where we're all getting older, and it's like, how could any of us still support any politician? I mean, if you look at the word politic, poly, that means of many, and a tick, that's a blood-sucking parasite. And then we got Smashing Pumpkins coming out with songs like "The World Is a Vampire Sent to Drain." Uh, it's not hard to figure out that in the political arena, those are bobbleheads.
exactly.
They're not representing the choices of the people. You know, it's so if I can do something to get people away from Trump, no, that doesn't mean that I'm a Biden supporter. It means I'm against both of them. If I can go to the Hillary supporters and get them, you know, to rally away from Hillary and follow Trump, then it's not about, you know, picking a side. It's about getting the average American citizen away from both sides, because it doesn't matter what facet you want to look at, talk about, none of that represents us.
That's true. That's true. You bring up a lot of good stuff like there, like the song and the tick. You know, and we could talk about some adrenochrome later after,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
if you want to, you know,
Oh, yeah.
as far as that goes. And then,
Well, you
and
are
then,
what you eat.
that's wild that you would say
You are
it that
what you
way.
eat.
Yeah.
And so when you go to, let's say, you go to McDonald's or you go to Pizza Hut, Pepsi, KFC, all those companies are owned by the same corporation.
Yep.
And they put artificial, we all agree, they put artificial preservatives in everything.
And
Well, where did those
everything.
preservatives come from? You know, human embryonic kidney cells. Yeah. You see, when you eat the dead, you become what? You become
Dead.
spiritually dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back in the day, way back was like in the Roman culture that if you in battle they would capture, maim, whatever, kill.
Yeah.
The ones that they captured, they would make them carry their dead, and the decay from the rot in the body would obviously damage the life of the live one, and diminish it completely. And those were tactics, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, that they used back then. So yeah. So my thing is I did the same thing as you. Is I grew up, thought we could change the world, raised my kids to think that hey, you could be anything that you want. Later learned in life that you can only be what your body allows you to be, whatever your
Yeah.
capacity of your mind is, and whatever your physical capacity is when it comes to who you are. And so along the way I thought, man, we really weren't being as honest to them. We thought we were, we were trying to produce the right thing there, you know what I mean. And so and then as time went on, when I got involved in the politics of life, just like you said,
Yeah.
it didn't matter who was in office, things always stayed the same. Now I guess we're a little different. I think that Trump is the disruptor
Yeah.
against the uniparty or the deep state or whatever, the
You
old
know,
guard,
he
you know.
he most certainly is.
Yes,
But at the same time, let's just be real for a minute. Trump's filed for bankruptcy. According to public record, Trump has filed for bankruptcy 13 times.
probably.
Okay. Now, if you file for bankruptcy 13 times, are you a good businessman?
I guess that would depend. Being in the fact that I'm in the construction world,
Yeah.
I've seen where things,
Right. Or another thing that I can talk against, not Trump, but just that entire political arena.
right.
We've been having this freaking illegal, so-called illegal issue crammed down our throats to no end. Now, who do you think, if you go to our southern border, who do you think surveils, monitors, and protects that border?
The government.
It's not American citizens. Oh no, we give that job to an Israeli corporation. That company's Elbit Systems Incorporated. And if you do the research on it, they're responsible for roughly 85% of any electronic surveillance done of our border and over 30% of any manned surveillance done of our border. Now, here's the thing about Elbit Systems Incorporated. Not only is it an Israeli company, none of its employees are Americans. So basically, what I'm telling you is that we sit there and we gripe and argue about illegal aliens, but illegal aliens are the ones that we hire to do all of the stuff that's unfavorable,
So
whether
it's
it's picking fruit, whether it's laying brick, or it's going and rounding up their so-called brethren when they hop the border. We have them doing all of it, and then we turn around. Well, I'm against illegal aliens. And it's just because why? The political system feeds us that. They're giving
so
us an adversary to be against.
I'll agree with that 100%. So I went into the field of construction out of high school, believing that one day I could be a general contractor, and about 2 years involved in that as a laborer, all that. The industry was flooded with Mexicans or illegal aliens or
Yeah.
whatever word you want to label them with. And it became hard because it dropped down the wages and it was hard
Yep.
to
Or
move up the.
motels. Have you ever seen a white, not to be racist, but have you ever
No,
seen a white boy that owns a motel?
no.
How
I
about a
mean,
white boy that owns a Kenjo or a BP? Have you
no.
noticed that and coincidentally, it's always in those particular businesses, it's usually always a Hindu person, a so-called Indian. You see, certain ethnicities have always been appointed to certain roles. It's been that way since time began, forever. If you look at the black people, they do the same thing.
Yep,
They
yep.
have all, and you see, that's why people have to learn to rise above the vessel. The vessel, this is just a ship. Even like if you call yourself an American, so you have a citizenship. That
Yeah,
means that the citizen is controlling the vessel, but that's all this is. It's a vessel.
yeah.
And they control us by our own consent. You see, there's always been a strategic plan in place on all facets. And either you've got your plan and you're living your life and using your vessel to facilitate your plan, or you best believe you're part of their plan.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. See, I call it an alternate reality. I think that reality that we're supposed to be is right here, and everything else is right here, what we're actually
Yep.
living. And if we could just get it over in the right spot, then maybe some of these things change. And Heath, to bring the point that once your eyes see something, you can't unsee it. So for me, my stepdad was a big, well, people probably would have called him a conspiracy theorist. He loved, let's see, was it George Norrie and Coast to Coast? I might be saying his name wrong. It was kind of AM radio where they would talk politics and aliens, and he was like from out West Coast, that kind of thing. And then it morphed into Alex Jones and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And then
And-
so it was
Yep.
politics.
We did that too.
Yeah,
I
yep,
did the exact same thing.
yep.
My first eye-opening experience was I had ship out orders for Bosnia, and because I was going to Bosnia the very instant that I was finished all my training, I didn't get any kind of leave. I had to do basic. I had to go through AIT, and then I had to go through another like 6 months training course, and then I was going to leave and go to Bosnia.
Well, thanks for your service,
And
Heath.
at the time, hey, look, I ended up doing a lot of things wrong, and all my buddies, one got 25 to life, one got 15 years, one got 20 years, one got 40 years, and when they come to me, call it divine intervention, God, whatever you want to call it. The judge said, "Well, you seem to have a pretty good head on your shoulders. I'm going to let you go into service." So for me, it was just,
Right,
hey, prisoner of the army.
right.
Now, that being said, I'm thankful that I got to do that. But when I get to Fort Sill, you know, uh, the same officers that are sending me to Bosnia to do what I'm told, well, how do they treat our troops right here in America when they bomb them? I seen the Marines had a section of the base that they had reserved for 3 years prior, and the United States Air Force and their dealings, they had a missile that they were wanting to test out, and they basically went to the Marines brass and said, "Look, we've got an opportunity to get this for a steal. We got to test it now." The Marines were basically not having it. Look, we've had this reserve for 2 3 years now. We're not, y'all can reschedule, and the Air Force pretty much just bombed the shit out of them. And we're told to sign non-disclosure agreements. We're the whole base is put on restriction, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute, you mean we killed our own people? This can't be. I mean, I'm a kid now. I'm 17 years old. I'm like, this, you're going to send me to Bosnia. What if the guy that tells you to send me to Bosnia, what if he tells y'all to just kill me? Or what, I mean, what if I see a kid and I have all these questions? They said, well, you need to go to a chaplain. And I go to the chaplain and they, here's some free booze. We're bringing in the prostitutes from the local whorehouse. Don't worry about this stuff. This is the stuff that officers deal with. And it rocked me to my core.
Right.
So I got out. I come to Tennessee, and this is about the time that the whole Monica Lewinsky fiasco happens.
Bill
And
Clinton.
yeah, and so in going through that, it was just like, man, well, shit, I've been lied to about everything. I mean, every single bit of my entire life has been a lie. Even my birthday. I'm born in October. An octopus has how many legs?
8.
How many sides are on a stop sign? 8.
8. Yep.
So where the fuck do you get October as being the 10th month? If you look at the language, oct has always meant 8. But yet, mommy and daddy told me I was born in the 10th month. How's that? Well, then let's look at some of the other times. Well, December, Deca, that means 10. How's that the 12th month? Wait a minute, reminds me. Well, mom and dad lied to me about time. Well, what else did mom and dad lie to me about? Well, they told me about a fat dude in a furry costume that's looking at me while I'm sleeping. He must be a pedophile. I don't know that for certain, but that Santa guy, that was a lie. And we say to ourselves, well, we just do that because it was good enough for my grandparents. It was good enough for my great grandparents. So it got me, looking around. And I've been on this journey for my whole life trying to find truth, because all I see, not to insult any one person, place, or thing, but I call bullshit
Yep.
on everyone, on everything. It's like but 2 years ago, I'm out here in my front in my yard. I had a 50-foot tree, full size, big giant tree, fall. It landed on a girl in my driveway. Right? I see I see the hand come up through the leaves of this tree. By the way, this girl's name's Carissa Lee. She's on my Facebook. I'm sitting there telling people, I'm like, but y'all don't get it. The tree fell on her and it didn't touch her. How
Right.
it's not possible.
Right.
It's not, it's everything around what we call our so-called world, even from the fact that we call it a world, like something that spins, but yet there's no evidence at all to suggest in any way, shape, or form that the plane that we exist on is moving at all. But yet it's something, it's world. It's all bullshit.
So I say everything is bullshit. It's part of the, what goes on. But I don't tend to argue with people when they try to talk about like the flat earth thing, or if
Yeah.
space is real, or if they landed on the moon, or whatever, because, most of us were in public education and it's all we
Yeah.
know. And so if you continue, because there's not a lot of people that agree with me, they think it's a conspiracy thing, or they just think that you're a fool
Yeah.
to some degree, like maybe you're not, you don't have all your marbles in there. But again, when you really start to do the research and you come up with these things that just, it don't line up the same way that we learned
No.
about it,
No.
so
Oh.
it just doesn't make sense. But to try to battle with somebody to convince them that you're never
You're
gonna
not going
convince
to.
them,
You're
yeah,
not going to.
doesn't make, it's not good,
It you, you're not going to convince anyone. It doesn't matter how much truth you present to them. It's
Yep.
like everybody for the longest in the truth community, there was this whole this rally of wake up, wake up. Well, let's see here. What is awake? What is a wake? A wake is a celebration of the dead. So to get to the bullshit arena that we call day-to-day life, how did you get here? You had to go through, you had to become awake, right? But you remembered enough while you were sleeping, you didn't pee the bed. Your heart kept beating. You remembered not to, you remembered to breathe. You remembered when you got up and went to the bathroom. You remember how to get there. Even you didn't even remember going to the bathroom, but you remembered everything. But if I asked you, well, what'd you do last night? You'll say, well, I laid in the bed for 8 hours with my eyes closed and I didn't do nothing. Well, is that true? You could even show yourself on a camera laying there in a bed. That's not, that's the limitation of what you're able to
Yeah.
say that you remember.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. Me personally, all of this is like a dream. It's like there's no real to it. And people say to wake up, and there's just no doing that. I mean, if nothing else, the most recent 2 or 3 years of the whole Epstein crap should be enough to indicate to people that ain't nobody waking up. I mean, it's
No,
it's
no.
like, and if you look at our local politics, they do the same thing. It's nothing but crap. It's like now we're worrying about these data centers, and you still have, like, I remember a few years back, I did a water test. What I tested, I had three samples. One, I had a trash can, 55-gallon trash can that I would set on the front porch and collect rainwater, and that water would stay in there, and I used it for my outdoor plants. I grabbed a sample from it. I grabbed a sample from the tap, which comes from Maryville,
Yep.
and I grabbed a bottle of Aquafina, and that was my third sample. Surprisingly, you know what the worst of them was? It was the tap water.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
The tap water in Blount County, now this was, I don't know, I'd have to go online and look, but 7, 8 years ago. At that time, it was unsafe. The FDA, for the level of fluoride, it was over 260 times
Yeah.
what is considered to be a
Yeah.
dose. What on your toothpaste it says if you swallow more than a pea-sized amount, call poison control.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, an 8-ounce glass of water contains the equivalent of about 3 tubes of toothpaste. So I go to city council in Maryville. I'm like, well, man, My water's unsafe. They're going to do something about this. No. They looked at my test. They said, well, for us to, we only have to be tested every 5 years. So we're not going to test again. If you wanted us to recognize a test, you would have to go through the same one of our sanctioned test people, and you'd have to pay for it.
How convenient.
Yeah. And I said, so wait a minute, the water's poisonous. It's literally like not safe to drink, and I got a whole rabbit hole there of, I could talk about Alcoa but anyway, the
No,
water ain't safe. I mean, drugs are bad. If I smoke a crack rock, I'm going to jail. If I smoke a joint, I go to jail. But yet there's all these unsafe chemicals in my water, and you're telling me that I can't do nothing about it. And the local people was the funny part about it. I ran this whole petition, and of the 2,500 or so people that signed my petition, 6 of them were local. The local people, they don't care.
That's probably fair to say that. Yeah, they don't care, because if you show them, any sort of truth, and they get on Facebook or social media, and someone tries to say that it's not, they tend to follow what's not. You know what I mean? If since we brought up the politics, it's odd to me that they're not happy. The locals are not happy with the executives that are in charge of, like, the industrial board or blood partnership, or all these other things, and they think they're paid unfairly and all this other stuff, but then they're all okay with the sheriff, and
Yeah.
it makes no sense to me.
Well, that's because the sheriff's cousin's boyfriend's married to his girlfriend that goes to the same church as the rest of them. If it went to 100 years, that's what people don't get. You're not going to, if you've got a broken system
it's
of
broke.
any kind,
Yep,
if I
it's
break this
broke.
laptop, I'm not going to fix the laptop. I'm going to have to buy a laptop. When your system is broken beyond repair,
Yeah.
that broken system is not going to give you the tools to fix it.
And
You're going to have to fix it from outside. And the
Right.
only way to do that is from outside of that broken system.
And that scares people.
Yeah,
That
it
right
does.
there scares, because
Well,
they're so comfortable with what's going on right here, that if they think, if they step outside of that to battle what's they don't believe in the battle anyway, which is why
Well,
they're not going to step out.
then there's the whole accountability.
Right.
It's like children. I've had my children unfairly stolen from me by a corrupt state, right? And it's always been I've always had a soft spot for kids. At the end of the day, where I sit right now, I know that within a 3-mile radius of me, there is 34 people on the known child sex offender registry.
And that's sad.
And well, what have I done about it?
Well,
And at the same time, we can say, oh well, we got laws but man to man, I've got kids. What business do I have letting a guy that I know fondled little girls live a mile from me, 2 miles from me? What right do I have to allow that? And when I do, there is some accountability. Now I can cover up and ignore my responsibility. I can say, well, they got their own lives, or he went to court, or it's not my place to think about it. But at the same time, I mean, I live in this world with everybody else. This is, we're all accountable to each other, whether we acknowledge the fact that we are or not.
Yeah.
And it's easier when we can say, well, this isn't my fault.
Right. Or it's not my fight.
Yeah.
It didn't affect me. Like, for example, the pedophilia that you're talking about, they're all registered, this, that, and the other. But if your name is prominent, then you seem to find a different avenue to go around that, versus anybody else that didn't have that famous last name. And so it drives me bananas, because when you talk about it's broken, that's it right there. But when you explain that to people, if it's not their fight, if it didn't affect them somehow, if it wasn't an investment that they had to feel, then it wasn't, it didn't bother them, so they stepped outside of it. So the same thing with the national politics. When we get into all of that, and we're all bickering. Here's the problem I got: I don't care who you believe in, it's too big. It needs to be dismantled. These intelligence agencies that are in
Yeah.
these, in our
Yeah.
prominent government, it's basically a fourth branch of government that shouldn't exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then all this intel that we're getting, that's coming from foreign nations
Yeah.
based with the CIA and everything else that coexists.
Yeah.
You try to explain that to somebody, it's just beyond them. You know what I mean? They don't understand it. These red flag things that happened when you were in the military, you saw what happened over there. When they slowly happen here, the same way, but it's so methodically slow that you can't see it
Yeah.
until after it's done. And then you're like, holy cow, I can't believe they did that. But if you try to explain that to them, because there's people out there that see some of these things. I believe that you see some of the things. I believe that I see some of the things. The people that we listen to or follow or whatever the case may be. And when we try to tell them, you might want to pay attention to this, you just kind of get looked at like
Yeah.
you're out in
Yeah.
left field. So this show on Thursday, Caught Up, is exactly about the things that you're talking about. Just that's why I didn't want to stick it to a topic, because then it kind of forces us to just kind of be on that, where we
Yeah.
could just go across the spectrum, because while may not always agree with what you're saying, I do understand
Yeah.
that plays a role in what's going on, that part is absolute reality to what we call the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Just people can't believe it, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, they put enough of. It's like I spent a good 15 years, roughly 16 hours a day, doing research. And I wouldn't suggest anyone try that. Most people don't even have nearly the time, if they wanted to do it, to do
That's
it.
true.
But it it it's rough. It's rough. It's like a dollar bill, you know. I can't look at a dollar bill, you know. It isn't just the 261 sigils on the dollar bill. It's not the 720 degrees that those sigils point to, or why they point to that direction. It's because everybody, is like, you know, everybody has been taught this script, and it's like if you were to, it's like if I was to hand you a book and tell you you can't read the first chapter, you can't read the last chapter. I can't tell you what the title is, but you just have to believe that the book is true, and you just have to go along with it. Well,
Yeah.
what if you don't like it? Well, you still got to go along with it anyway. And we all just, we just do it, and it sucks. It really genuinely sucks. I mean, and when I was younger, it was it wasn't it wasn't as bad. But I mean, like now, how many people took the COVID shot to get a donut, to get a donut.
So that I love that topic right there, because I was dead against it. I didn't. I we I. It's what got me censored on YouTube. It's what got me censored
Yeah.
on Facebook. It's why I found
Now
Rumble.
here's what's funny about that. Okay, so in your natural, first off, the word natural, a lot of people don't realize that the word natural, its earliest translation is of God. God being we don't even have a word for God. We don't even know what God is. It defies logic. It defies knowledge. That's why we gave a word to it, so that when we're both talking about that crazy phenomenon that neither of us can explain, oh God, yeah, yeah, that way we can stay on the same page. We know what we're talking about. But the word natural is of God. This is why your founding fathers, they said that's why they said that you have here's a republic if you
If
can
you
keep
could
it.
keep it. Yep.
Yeah. Now, you have certain rights that are inalienable. The reason they're inalienable, we don't know how you got them.
That's
We
right.
don't know where they came from. We don't know where they go. We don't even know what you can do with them. We know that they exist. All right. Now, these are all rules and procedures that they developed to govern the vessel. Maritime admiralty law is a big one of those,
Yep.
to
Yep.
govern the vessel.
Yep.
All right. This is they make all this stuff up to govern, because we're sui generis, and that in Latin, and that in English that translates to undefinable. Every one of us, until you can define what you are. You have no knowledge or clue what I am or what anybody else is. And that's why it's like and when people would ask me my name, I'd always tell them to name me is to negate me. By giving me a name, you negate all the other things I possibly could be. You see, name implies a corporate ownership. You can't name something unless it's yours. Your kids, they're not yours. That's why it's a miracle of birth. We know part of the process, but it's a miracle because mathematically, it's like over 120 million to 1 odds that you're
Yeah.
ever going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
We still don't know how it happens because that the math doesn't add up. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So then when COVID comes around, now all of a sudden you have a person that's undefinable. They're in a special class because they're undefinable. And they all of a sudden take this COVID shot. Well, what are they now? Well, you've used their technology to alter your genetics.
Yes.
And it's the same thing as and so now in a court of law, if Eli Pharmaceuticals said, I demand that you turn your body over to me. I own it, and I'm taking possession of that body right now. Me, I could say, well, screw you. I'm all natural. But then again, I didn't have that CRISPR gene editing tool inserted into me, and
That's
that's what a
funny.
lot of. Yep.
Yep.
Now they're no longer natural.
No, I know. And see, when you bring that up to people, they just look at you like you're crazy. When all this was going on where I worked, it was a big deal. You know what I mean? For example, I'll give you a better one than that. I have two sons, both former Marines, and one's in the Army, right? The youngest, he's a dual service guy, but he was in the Marines when all this was going down. He refused the shot. Well, they sent him to Yuma, Arizona to watch equipment while his other unit went on.
Yeah.
Because they took the shot. They sent him over, wherever they were going, right? And because he still wouldn't comply with what they said, even though he tried to see a chaplain, he tried to get the paperwork. They made everything really hard on him to use what his rights were, to be exempt from having to take it. And ultimately they kicked him out and gave him an other than honorable, right?
Yeah.
And so when all this was going down and where I worked, the threat was the same thing. You got till such and such time to take it. And I never did. Then they came to us and gave us an exemption and they asked me to sign it. And I said, no. And they looked at me and asked me why. And I said, no offense. But you're giving me a treat right here. And I'm not doing that because then I'm saying that I'm okay. I'm consenting to something that you're asking me to do. So I was like, so I'll wait. And if the deadline comes and I get fired, then I'll wait for the class action lawsuit. And it might take 7 to 5 or 10 years, whatever it is, but eventually I won't have to worry about ever doing anything again because what you guys did was unethical, unconstitutional, whatever term you want to use for it, and so they just kind of looked at me goofy, but my son called me and asked me if we were going to be ashamed. And I said, you took an oath to defend this nation against foreign and domestic. And at the moment it's domestic that's doing this to you. So fast forward a couple years go by and we're in the middle of getting this other, because they wanted him back, the Marines, right? And he wanted to go a different direction. So he went to the Army and the Army was faster at getting to his goal than the Marines were. But they still haven't changed his other than honorable in the Marines.
Yeah.
But they offered him his job back. They offered him all the back pay, everything, and all that was going on. But it was because over the COVID.
COVID was for one, the mask. A lot of people don't get that. COVID was the mask. I mean, I knew it. Whenever you have a coronation type event, you're having a change of venue. A change. Whenever you coronate a new king, all right, it's a system. One system's going away, another system's replacing it. With regards to the COVID, if you look into your 4G and your 5G, look at what happens to a human body.
Yes.
Whenever you when you get exposed to 4 gigahertz. Okay, so you've got how do you breathe? You got red blood cells that go through your blood. That's how you breathe. They carry oxygen. Well, these little red blood cells, they kind of like vibrate as they're going throughout your body. Well, whenever they're exposed to above 4 gigahertz of frequency, it'll cause them little red blood cells to actually flip end over end. When they get exposed to 5 gigahertz, because of the surface area that they now take up, where they're flipping end over end, they're taking up so much room you're not able to fit even half as many in the same system. So what ends up happening is you're starved for oxygen. And so then they had everybody putting a mask on. It's like you got people
Yep.
already that are crippled pretty much. They're living half of what they should be because they're starved for oxygen because you cut all the trees, and now you got these masks that's further cutting their
Yep.
oxygen off.
Yep.
They did,
Yep.
and people think that you know the fact of the matter is they don't need you anymore. They don't need me. They don't need us. And it's easier if you it's easier to get rid of somebody by convincing them to get rid of themselves. It saves
It's
time, saves resource, saves all kinds of stuff. It's like if you look into the directed energy weapons, look at you ever notice when you put a hot dog on a plate and stick it in the microwave for about a minute, the hot dog it'll be disintegrated, it'll explode, burn up. What about the plate? What's it look like? It's exactly the same as when you put it in there.
yeah.
Yeah. It's the same way with us. When they
Yes.
use the
Yes.
directed energy
Yeah.
weapon on you,
Yeah.
you can retain all of the existing infrastructure, your buildings, your roads, all of that stays. The only thing that they're wanting to get rid of is the biological aspect of that, the people.
I think Trump called that the discombobulator. So, but exactly the mask thing. That's another thing. My stepdad owned a paint business for years, and when we sprayed with enamels and stuff like that, we wore a respirator. Why did we wear a respirator over a regular old mask? Because whatever was that regular old cotton mask or that you buy, the N95,
It didn't
all that
work.
did work. It penetrated. It would get
Yeah.
into your lungs, and you'd have to have your lungs scraped if it didn't kill you. So you'd have to wear a respirator. We all got beards. My dad's got a beard probably like yours, even longer. My stepdad, it's down to here. And for him to wear a respirator meant that he had to shave that spot so that it got perfect suction there. So
Yeah.
those things, so it didn't creep in through the side of it. So when they started talking about wearing masks and wearing masks at work, and here's what got me. Some people were employed that were federally employed just as across our nation that had to wear and abide by the laws based on the money they were receiving through federal funds.
Yeah.
If you were receiving donations or sponsors or whatever like that and non-federal funding, then these rules didn't exist to you.
Yeah.
The University of Tennessee had a COVID tent that you walked into before you went into the emergency room, and it was open from 9 to 5. And I had a daughter that was sick with cancer at the time. And when we had to show up at the hospital from then, I asked them from 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe it was 7 to 5. So from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning, where the fuck did COVID go?
Yeah. Or the Amish, they asked, I watched them, they interviewed the Amish, and they had this old 100-year-old Amish preacher, and they said, well, why do you think that the Amish have been safe from COVID? And he said, well, it's real simple. We don't allow TV.
Exactly.
And my argument right here will shut COVID down entirely. Well, it's hanging up over here on the wall. No, actually, it's right here in front of me. I got microscopes all over the place. I know how to use a microscope. Fortunately, I was taught in school how to prepare a slide using scientific method.
Me
I even
too.
know how to make a sterile environment in a shower stall in my house so that even though I'm poor white trash and live in a piece of shit trailer, I can still make and preserve a clean specimen.
Right.
Show me COVID. Let me see
So
it.
there is no epidemiology of COVID.
Nobody ever seen one.
Never.
Nobody seen it. And then when I go
Never.
to hospitals, I went to UT. I had an ear infection. They said, well, let us give you a COVID test because when we give you the COVID test, if you have COVID, that'll show up. Plus, it shows up. So I said, wait a minute. So you're going to do the COVID test on me, but it's magically going to tell you if I have the flu too.
Right.
It's
Oh.
it's exact same test. And
Oh, yeah,
and
no
it's
doubt.
like it really sounds like you all have taken the common influenza and you have introduced something into it
I call it
and let that
weaponized.
out, and now you've just basically rebranded the common flu, called it something else,
Yep.
so that all the people, all the banksters can make some money off of it. And meanwhile, you reduce the population
Yep.
by X amount, and then that gives you the authority to enact all this needless fucking bullshit legislation
Yep.
that you can use to suck more from those of
Yep.
us that remain. I mean, I had to go probation at the time we were doing COVID, and the probation department, when I walked in, I they, they were doing this, still had the little spaces on the ground marked out
Yeah.
every 6 feet,
Yeah.
and I don't leave my house much anyway. I got so to even be in town is like kind of like a nightmare, and I get out and I'm like, I don't know what's up with all this shit. I don't believe in that COVID anyway. I go in there and the the woman, I see the woman and I have to sign in, and she's not even paying attention. So I grab an ink pen, I sign my name. She looks at me and realizes that I've signed in, and now she's trembling. She's like, sir, sir, you got to go outside. Why am I got to go outside? Because you don't have a mask on, and I'm not going to put one on either.
Yeah. Me either.
And they actually told me to leave. They had my probation officer come outside and talk to me. I said, look, dude, I said, you're real close to a federal lawsuit. I said, for one, I said, do you know anything at all about the Americans with Disability Act? It's not even legal for you to even question as to whether or not I would even consent to wearing a mask,
That's
let
right.
alone to fucking sit here and threaten. I'm here as a probate. That means what? That means that you are tasked with overseeing the legality of my current life. You're supposed to make sure that I am in compliance with all local and federal laws. And you're telling me to break a law, and if I don't, that you're going to violate me and put me back in jail because I didn't do something that wasn't legal to begin with.
Ain't that some shit, dude?
And yeah, he freaked out and he said, well, look, can you prove any of this? I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't have a printer in my pocket, but I'll go home and I'll print the first 10 or 20 pages of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I said, you can have your legal team or whoever look over it. And I got back, I gave him all that. And then finally he said, look, we'll schedule your appointment for once a month. We'll make it late in the afternoon. And and that way you're one of the last ones. He said, I'll be honest, I'm just doing what I'm told. I said, no,
Exactly.
that's the
Yep.
problem.
That's the problem. Yep.
The mayor's office told your
Yep.
office to,
Yep.
except none of this shit is founded within the law. It's illegal. You can't do it.
Same
Now
thing with hospitals.
you make Tom, Dick, and Harry stand out here and turn cartwheels so that they can get a donut in their shop. That's not legal either.
No.
I can't speak for others, but I can speak for this. And as for me and mine, I'm fuck you.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah. Drive up into the mall so they can stick a cotton swab in there from a guy that's in a plastic suit. And so I drove up there just for fun. And the lady I was married to at the time, she didn't appreciate what I was doing. And I asked him if he was a professional medical person, and he told me that he worked for a temp service.
Yeah.
Going to stick a swab in your nose, so they stick it in a little glass tube with a thing on it, and they call you in 10 days. You know what I mean?
When UT went to do the COVID test, I had my ear infection. It was severe. I sat in there for almost 3 hours before they even agreed to do anything. And then they said, well, we'll give you the COVID test and see how that works. And the lady come back and she had this Q-tip that was like 12 inches long. And I noticed that the Q-tip was in a sterile container. She opened it up and then she had a bottle in her pocket and she puts the Q-tip in this bottle. And I looked at her and I was like, wait a minute, you just contaminated. How can you test me for something? Because that Q-tip was sterile, but now you've introduced a variable to it.
Yes.
So even if there was, let's say I believe you that COVID's real, let's say I believe that there is, you wouldn't be able to isolate it because you've added other things to it, so it's no longer you've ruined you've invalidated your entire test.
Yes.
And they got mad at me, and she said, well, you go back out in the waiting room. Well, 5 hours later, University of Tennessee kicks me out, and they give me they said, you can go online to get the results of this test within 24 hours. Give me a website, give me a patient number. The next day, and I already knew what I was going to find. I went on the website, tried to, UT didn't have me as a record of me being a patient.
Imagine that.
Yeah, yeah,
Imagine that.
uh, we are bombarded on a daily basis. You know, everywhere you look, it's a yeah, and it's not all hopeless. People just have to get to a point where they realize that the whole problem with the dream is, for one, for you to have a dream. Most of them you're not going to fucking remember anyway.
Right.
So you out here chasing the American dream, you're never going to get it because you were asleep through the majority of it.
Yeah.
So you got to, with what you've got to be able to carve out your own little niche. You got to rise above the stuff. You're
Yeah.
not going to fix the system. It's broken.
No.
It can't be fixed.
No, but we can talk about it though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Talk about
yeah.
fixing. Hopefully, hopefully it changes something. I got a question. Somebody asked what your opinion was on about flat Earth because we were talking about the other stuff.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
this is real simple. If we were just looking in terms of scientific data that I can prove,
Right.
there is more to prove that the perceived plane of existence you're currently on is flat. No, I'm not a flat earther.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm not a flat earther or a globe earther. And let me elaborate on that. If you look at a plane's instrumentation, all of every plane in the world, I don't give a shit if it's a little swing set, an ultralight, or if it's a big jumbo jet. Look at any plane's instrumentation. You will not find any instrumentation that calculates in any way, shape, or form with regards to spherical trigonometry or curvature. They don't do it. So, in other words, if you're living on a ball, okay, your plane's coming in for a landing and this ball is spinning, it would have to calculate for the curvature or you could not land. Period.
Correct. Right.
Okay. It doesn't. There is no curvature. Never has been, never will be. Does that mean I'm saying it's flat? No.
Right.
If we go on just what is easy to summarize, there's more data to suggest. The majority of the data I've seen in my life suggests that it's a holographic projection.
Yeah.
If we were talking in terms of physicality and you wanted to limit your mindset, then you could say that it's a plane.
Yeah.
It's a but to try to think, but that makes people think that there's this physical plane. There's not. There's the perception of physicality. Here's another example of why it's not a ball. Submarines. How does a submarine navigate?
That's a good question.
Sonar. It uses sonar.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So sonar uses sound waves. Well, sound waves don't curve. They reflect, they refract, they bounce off of one object to another object.
Yep.
They don't curve. So how would sonar work? It wouldn't. It wouldn't work on a ball. But yet we know that there is sonar.
Have you flown on a plane?
Yes.
So
not recently, in the last month or nothing, but
no, but it was like 2 years ago the last time I did.
It looks the same as what you'd think it looks. It looks like a flat plane.
But I do see like a little bit of a
through the convex shape of the windows.
Maybe
they're not flat.
Yeah.
And your camera lenses, they're not flat either.
That's true. Yeah. All good points.
Yeah.
So that's Crystal Dawn. She wanted that question. She's a host with me on Blount County.
And I hate saying that because
Breakdown.
the minute it's just like the Trump argument. The minute that I talk about Trump,
Right.
people are like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you liberal types before. You probably mad. You probably wanted that Kamala Harris." I'm like, because I'm anti-Trump. Why can't I be anti-Trump and anti-Biden both? I had a true story. I had a friend. I still got a friend. He's a dear friend of mine. His name's Wayne Thomas Bailey. Okay. Wayne Bailey's from around here. Years ago, him and some of his friends were drinking some beer, and Wayne comes up with this idea. Well, what if I decided to run in the governor's race? And everybody said, "No, Wayne, you couldn't do that. It's like $1 million election, man. You can't run for governor." Wayne says, I, I'm a good old boy and I got lots of friends. I mean, I think I can do it without spending any money. Now, if you look historically in that particular year, out of what was it, 5 candidates, he got third place, and he got almost 30,000 votes,
Wow.
and that was just pure word of mouth. Just so there are some hopeful things that
Right.
can be
Right.
achieved.
I want to believe it's going to be like Woodstock. We got it out. They all showed up. It was like, all right, everybody actually listened. You know what I mean? So it's like, welcome to the party because we're fixing to shut this shit down. So big government. You and I probably agree there that it's way
Yeah,
too big.
yeah,
You're pretty much a founding like constitutionalist.
yes, yes,
Yeah, so am I. I don't pretty much block anybody now. I will say I've blocked some of these anonymous latelys or these fake accounts where people are making accounts with the wrong name and
yeah,
that kind of stuff like that. But other than that, I don't tend to block anybody.
yeah,
I try not to argue with people, although every once in a while I find myself caught up in it, which is exactly what they're trying to do by design. Because when we talk about government's too big, when I try to explain to people that government is too big, the Constitution is clear. When the government is too big, we the people are supposed to dismantle it. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
when you say that, they take that word and term literally. I'm not saying that we're supposed to go back to horse and buggy and no electricity. I'm saying that we go back to the infrastructural institutions. What do they call that? The essential functions that require our country to run. We go back to that and we remove everything outside of that. Now I know there's a lot to it. It might require some of the military to get involved, and when you start to bring that into it, then people get a little even more nervous because it makes them uncomfortable.
yeah,
And then when I try to explain to them that if the country was more to the constitutional side of things, you would start to
yeah,
see exactly how our country was supposed to operate. The founders were smart
yeah. Real,
for their time. Yeah,
real
go ahead.
smart. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you look at like I've always been an advocate for the 100% inheritance tax.
yeah.
You know what that is?
No,
It's basically just that inheritance. You would lose it 100%, and the reason that is because of people like Trump.
you're
And
talking
it's,
about generational wealth and
yeah,
and
because
all that stuff.
see, you are entitled to the fruits of your labors.
Right.
Joe Blow down the street isn't entitled to your fruits of your labors. Now,
Correct.
that might be your son. You might love him. You've nurtured him, raised him. But we, when we look at it historically, it's always bad. It was just like your car. You know how you can take such better care of your vehicle. You let your wife drive it one time, it comes back scratched, dirty. You know, we can only allow ourselves so much crap before we have to start attacking. Well, how's this? How did this stuff just get so broke to begin with? Then you look at like all the money involvement,
The
and where does this
fraud.
money come from? Like Trump,
Yep.
that dude's a fucking moron. He it, give any random person $150 million, they're going to make a few dollars.
Oh yeah.
I don't care who they are. That doesn't make them a good person. That doesn't make them a good business person. That doesn't make them think with the best of humanity in mind. That doesn't make them have a good heart. That doesn't buy them morality. It doesn't teach them ethics. It just means that they got handed something and they can what with it. And if we look, or about the career politicians, how is it that 38? I think it's 38. I might be a little off on this, but it's close to 40% of the United States Congress consist of citizens of another country.
No, that's wrong. I'm with you there.
And
That's wrong. Yep.
I'm a disabled American veteran. Now
Right.
I'm supposed to abide by the law. You all want
Right.
me to be a law-abiding person, okay? Well, between my disability, between my SSI, I draw $841 a month. That's not shit.
Nothing.
Okay. Now, why is it that every single Israeli family, whether they ever visit the United States or not, is paid $23,000 a year to live? Why? What's the reason that I can comprehend as someone who has fought for my country, as someone who has been injured for my country? Now, I'm not supposed to go out here and do drugs. I'm not supposed to go out here and cook meth. I'm not supposed to go out here and do any of that because all that's bad. But yet, the cesspool rules, and that people should follow the money. If they would look into where their money comes from, it would help them to figure out where their money goes, and then they could start putting together, some of the smaller pieces and fix some of this crap. It's like here in Blount County. I live in a piece of shit trailer, and I'm not griping. Okay, it is what it is. That's life. But do you know my piece of shit trailer that looks worse now than it did last year because I ain't mowed the yard all year. I don't care to admit that. My lawnmower tore up, but somehow my property is worth $8,000 more this year.
Yeah.
How? It went down. It looks worse. It's not as maintained. It has not had improvements. The state of the existing structures degraded, but yet I owe more in property taxes.
Yeah.
So that means that means I have to what? I have to pay more money.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. And how's that? Who fixes that?
It's some man. When you try to find out who he is, because we have looked into that for that very thing, because back again to Blount County thing, during the primaries, right in the middle of it, accordingly, the state set down the new tax appraisal that went to the property tax assessor, who sent the letters out to all the homeowners, who turned around and complained to the commission, who were in the middle of an election. And I was like, the dude's either a genius or a fucking idiot. You know what I mean?
Now, when you're living on less than $850 a month, what's the legitimate way that I budget the additional $70 a month that I lose?
Hey, that's a good question, man.
Okay, so I mean, I'm just saying, if America wants me to be legal and legitimate,
right?
And the point that I'm making with this long-winded spill is this: if you create a system and you want me to willfully participate in that system, you have to give an option where I can do so. You can't create a system and say, well, you're going to have to go along in this system, but yet we're not going to let you go along in this system, because it'd be the same thing in court. Do you know you can't just sue for anything?
Right.
You can't, because unless it's a situation where the case can be remedied, there has to be a remedy. Whether you win or lose, the court has to be able to make a finding that can bring forth remedy. If there can't be no remedy, there's no case. It can't be. It's not that you wouldn't want to try it. It's you can't, because there's nothing to accomplish by having it go to court. It's the same thing in our day-to-day life. We want to have a republic, but yet most people don't even know what a republic is.
No, because see, that's another thing that you bring up, because they do word salads. And over the years, we take a word that was meant something that you and I thought when we were kids, now all of a sudden means something different. So a republic became a democracy. No. The democracy exists because of the republic. You know what I mean? And so when people start to talk about, well, we live in a democracy, no. I make the same statement. We live in a republic if you can keep it.
Yeah, it's a constitutional republic.
That's right.
And what is required for that republic to exist is a constitution. So then you have to wonder, well, what is a constitution? Well, it's a contract. It's telling you how something should be constructed to achieve a certain result.
Right. So, and it's not for us. It's for them.
No, it was for them. It was for them.
That's right. So I tell people all the time, if you're a politician, when you look at me, you're an elected official. When you look at me off in a distance, you should see the Constitution written all over me. Nothing else. You can't see my eyes, my lips, my face. You just see the silhouette that says "We the people," and it carries on all the way down my body. That's it. That's it. And when I see you, I see that contract that you signed. That's it. You represent what I say. Now, as a mass, don't get me wrong. I'm not on a personal level, but as a whole, you know what I mean. And it's gotten away. They don't look at us that way. They see us as, I say, we're batteries.
Yeah,
that's
and
it.
we are.
Yep.
We're just that.
Yep.
Because it's like even the money, the only people that you think the rich of this world need money. No, they don't. The only people that need or use money are the ones that don't have any.
That's right. Yeah.
The ones that have it, you think if Donald Trump goes to the Ford dealership tomorrow to buy a new Mustang, do you really think he's going to hand them money?
No.
He's going to sign his sign of nature, his natural mark,
Yep.
his X. He's going to sign. He's going to leave his mark. Meanwhile, if you want to go to the Ford dealership and you want to get a truck, you got to I got to come up with some money. I got a down payment. I got to come up with financing. Oh, I got to improve my credit. So automatically, that whatever the Trumps are, they're not in the same world that you are.
No, they're
They
not.
don't
We're
live
not.
that,
Yep.
you know, and I used to think that would apply in terms of the broader spectrum, like uh, uh, the oligarchs that run the world, all the bankers, but
Yep.
it's local level. Look at our most recent sheriff's fucking election.
Yeah.
Isn't it the same?
Yep. Yeah.
It's the it,
37 years. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up today because we're talking about Blount County, but the shit came out of the news about whatever investigations going on,
And why ain't
and
they released the name of that guy?
well, I don't know.
So
Yeah,
if I get caught peeing beside a tree, my name is going to be in the Daily Times newspaper
yeah,
tomorrow. It's because it's been there so many times before. They're probably going to go ahead and devote a little article to it. But yet, if an elected person or if someone in the public service, which affects everybody, actually commits crime, they somehow are um, they're given anonymity.
right.
Exactly. If the citizens at large are the victim, then how is the oppressor given anonymity, and why would we allow that?
See, that's something that we talk about in Blount County
Tennessee, the state
Breakdown.
of Tennessee, you do realize that Tennessee is a sunshine state.
Yes.
So if a person wanted to, they could file a Freedom of Information Act request with the
Yep.
sheriff's department. Now, I can tell you from experience, they probably say screw you, and then you have to go and make sure you do it all nice and legal, certified mail.
Yeah.
They're still going to probably try to screw you,
Yeah.
and what they're relying on is by the time you get done, you get aggravated and you give up on it, they would have already conducted their investigation of
Yeah.
themselves, found themselves guilty of no wrongdoing, and
Yeah.
we can get on to what really matters. Like,
Yeah.
could we go get one of these data centers in Blount County?
Yeah. So yeah, that's funny too because we brought. I mean, we probably talked about it for 2 weeks, the AI thing, because it's what's being talked about, and we even spun it, as the show went
They
on.
want them popped up like dollar stores.
Well, that or
The machine.
they're showing this because something else is going on in the
Well, your
background, and everybody's
surveillance.
focused on
You're
that.
okay. What do you think's going to happen when you're already destabilized? Fiat currency goes
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that the dollar isn't like on its way out, look around. The
Pay
dollar
attention.
it's
Yeah.
worthless. It's
It's
being
not
intentionally devalued.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the final nails in the coffin for the dollar has been the attack on crude oil. Fiat currency is
Yeah.
no more.
Right.
You know,
And I'm for that.
so
You know what I mean? I'm for
I am too. I
yeah,
am
you know what I
too.
mean? So yeah.
The dollar's coming down.
But then
You
again, but
know,
when you talk to people like that, they're afraid that money's going to go away, and you're like, you don't understand. It's just not going to pay for the global, the global old guard. That's what's been going on. We're still controlled by Britain to some extent. We have,
we
we're
are
still, the old guard has, that control.
100%. When
What is
you
it? The central banking out of London. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then you got the Vatican.
yeah,
With the Catholic Church.
yeah,
All that shit's over in Europe. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
we,
We
yeah,
make part of it. If you look at a triangle, you always use a triangle because in geometry, a triangle is your strongest shape
Yep.
It's the strongest geometric configuration on the planet. It's a
Exactly. Yep.
triangle.
Yep.
So if you look at their power system, you've got London Center,
Yep.
and that is responsible for the world's finances. You
Yes.
have the Vatican, and the Vatican controls the spiritual aspect
Yes.
of that.
Yep.
And then you have us, and we do exactly
What they
what
tell us.
we were created to do. We're a military,
That's
and
right.
that's a lot of the reason why America is being destabilized, because our job's done. We were formulated to establish a military, to be a military power in the world, and we've done that. All of their small goals have already been accomplished.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to disagree with that, look at I'd say read the Albert Pike letters on the three world wars and look at how they were carried out exactly according to plan. Or if you look at you look at most of this country, most of the people, it's like when this place is a lot older than what you're told,
Yes.
way older.
Yeah.
All of our and anything that it's like anything that has any history tied to it in America, well, coincidentally, it burns up in a fire. Chicago
Yes.
fire, San
Yes.
Francisco. San
Yes.
Francisco's a funny one because San Francisco, we take a railroad. Allegedly, we built a railroad in there so that we can start getting the gold out faster, because and we get to noticing that they have a complex sewage system. Well, it goes down hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of levels. Now, this is back in the 1800s. Why? Because this whole realm, this is a lot older than what we're told it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Everything's
agree.
always moving.
I agree. I absolutely agree. It's 8:56, man. Can you believe that?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Time flies when you're
Time flies. Yeah.
having fun or being good
Oh
or
man.
good at
So,
it. Or,
we a lot of views for what I would consider, lots on Rumble, lots a couple on YouTube, and then Facebook. I only had 4 or 5, but I think it'll pick up later when people watch it over. But Scrappy Dog, do you know? I don't know if somebody, what it says, late night ramblings. Do you know that individual? Maybe not.
Possibly.
Okay, so every once in a while, I try to give everybody a shout out. Looks Noah's dad 00001. Everybody's commented something or another in there. Scrappy Dog. I had Scrappy Dog on last week because we had him on Blount County Breakdown, and he's real passionate, like you are and I am, about all the things that tie into the local government, but it's beyond us. It gets bigger. And so I said, we try to keep Blount County Breakdown just to Blount County stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to come on Thursday. So we did a Thursday show. He did fantastic. You know what I mean? So he's always in the chat and posting what's going on, that kind of stuff. So Heath, I had a fantastic time.
I did too.
Do it again anytime. You're welcome to come back on. I don't know if the Blount County Breakdown thing you would be interested in, but like I said, we try to keep as much of the national stuff out of it because it loses people.
I'd love to be able to get. I've tried for 3 years to get a. Okay, I want to bring Pacer Hepperly. I want to talk to Pacer Hepperly live, and if I'm unfounded with regards to my claims, with regards to monies that have exchanged hands between the Blount County Sheriff's Department and Rio's church, then I'm more than happy to share everything I've got, and where I'm wrong, I could, somebody could, maybe I don't have all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed, but
Right.
I've not been able to get anyone. I've tried. I've spoke to several of his deacons. I've talked to countless deputies, and everybody just, well, Heath, I ain't got time for this.
Yeah.
But a lot of the like with the sheriff's department, I mean, I would love to get some resolution. Like, let's look at some of the revenue streams and where is it going? Because our roads are screwed.
Yeah.
Our crime isn't, obviously. We got the sheriff's department coming out publicly that they're having problems in their own department. We, and that's not even to factor in, the opioid crisis and fentanyl deaths and all this.
Everything, yeah.
I mean, it sucks to keep beating the same drum and
Right.
oh man, the sky's falling, the sky's falling. It's just hitting me in the head. And we need to be able to fix and work to resolve some of this stuff. And it's like you said before this chat, that you probably would have thought that we were polar opposites. Hell,
Yeah.
frat mire we might be, but hey, man, what am I doing wrong? Or
Right.
what are you doing wrong? I mean, we
Right.
can still come together. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe we could fix it.
And we have. I love this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love this. Because in the beginning I kind of felt differently, and then when I said you come on and you're like hell yeah, and then we got
Yeah.
to talk and all that. I was like cool. So yeah, greatly appreciate it. Matt Snow's in there, Jason Payne, Catherine Lee Smith Hall, Rhonda Finley, Bry Guy's in there. Let's see. Uh, Matt Snow's running for write-in
Yeah.
candidate that goes against
The
the
superintendent.
highway superintendent. Yeah.
Attendant. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had it. We did a candid conversation. He's our friend, so
Yeah.
we're going to plug him till the end because we believe no one should run unopposed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they've been trying to hit him, I think, here recently with some of his credentials. So I reposted.
I've seen that where
Did you see
the
that?
other day he was having to go and,
Yeah.
or actually, I think I seen one of his videos where he was having to go a bunch of paperwork or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he wouldn't turn it in personally to Nashville. So
Yeah.
I think they still are going through the process to make sure that he is
But
qualified.
is he qualified?
Man, his flipping
Yeah.
resume is amazing. Between
Yeah.
the Army Corps of Engineers, Airborne, the safety.
Or how many of his kinfolk are already successful within key members of government?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I
if
don't know.
none, I mean, because you gotta, you get to be truly qualified. Your cousin's boyfriend's girlfriend's friend has to, give the thumbs up that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
vouch for you.
It's yeah, and maybe catch herpes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but I just we think we think it's good. You know what I mean? So we wanted to promote it. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, Matt's been on the show. That kind of thing. So
Yeah, and
man.
I'm just being funny.
No, yeah, everybody will love it. I promise.
I think it's awesome. If more people would, it's like I won't mention Judge Brewer and remembering a time when he was
Or Judge Hedrick.
or Judge Brewer was doing DUI weekends in the Ramada. Or
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but and I could gripe about people like that, but
Yeah.
you know why he's still a judge. He runs unopposed. And a sessions court judge, the only way they can even get convicted of a crime, the only way to get them out, you have to run against them. And we all bitch, but nobody's running against these people. So
No.
superintendent or any of them other positions, that's the only way to fix it.
Yeah.
Is people have to get out there and do it. And so far, all of us, we twiddle our thumbs and
then
gripe about what you're doing and what this other guy's doing.
I know, he's like, what are you, people ask me out there, what are you doing? I was like, I created a podcast, oh, like, what's that doing? And I'm like, well, I'm working on it. You know what I mean? But time is coming. But we were teasing Matt the other day. He's like Blount County's Forrest Gump because he's done the Iron Man. He did the Adirondack Trail. They canoed down the Mississippi River from wherever it begins up north all the way down to the bottom. You know what I mean? And just, and he did all this donating his time and everything to helping people in North Carolina that were wiped out by Helena, you know what I mean? And all these things. So I'm like, we got Forrest Gump of Blount County here, you know what I mean? And then I think he's qualified. We write his name in. We're going to promote the hell out of him and hopefully he wins would be the outcome. But, I guess time will tell. If we get the same 10,000, I'm going to say this analogy. I feel like I live in Blount County, walking around in the time of Moses. I got these old suckers that are running around complaining because they won't let the young guys go into the land of milk and honey and defeat the giants. So we get the same 10,000 people. We can't get nobody to turn out to beat those 10,000 people that would change the direction and landscape of this county, and it would knock down these so-called giants that are in the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look up how many sheriffs in the country in a county has been sheriff for 37 years. And you'll find articles that they might have been sheriff that long, but they were put in jail because they were found doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we talk about how well he's done, great, he's done well. You know what I mean? No one gets elected that much. I'm sorry. That puts that, they have these no king protests. They got the Geritol Club out there. They color their signs for them. I swear to God, they're talking about Barong, no kings.
And and people don't realize, if you want to fire your sheriff, it only takes one constituent. You see, a sheriff, they're duly appointed. They're both voted in, and then they're also their oath of office. And their oath of office is what secures their bond. So if you find your local sheriff to be in violation of his or her oath of office, that is grounds for you to formally have their bond revoked. Once you fire the sheriff, all of his deputies go with him.
Right.
And people don't realize it literally takes one constituent to go to a courthouse and do it.
Right.
So
so we're trying, we're working on stuff, you know what I mean? So but hey, Farrah Williams Deck is in there. How you doing? And I guess Heath, we'll call it an evening,
all right.
man. And
All right.
yeah, I'll be messaging you again. Maybe I can get Scrappy Dog, you and me on this show on a
let's
Thursday night. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Something like that. You know what I mean? And we'll have a good damn time for sure. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate the cordial, man. The discussion was great. And I really enjoyed myself. So looking forward to more, man.
I am too. Thank you. Peace out, everybody.
You're welcome.
Later, buddy.
Bye. Did we kick him? See, you had to kick him. If you don't kick him, then it's not how the show ends. You know what I'm saying? So we have to kick him. But man, what a show! No real topic, just good discussion. Talked about all kinds of things that people might consider conspiracy theory, or maybe some people like me believe more of that as fact than not. And then we got it just mixed all up. A whole bunch. It makes for a great podcast. He even mixed in a little bit of Blount County stuff, which is odd to me. I knew that he was local. I didn't realize how local he was. Greenback's just down the road there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it was good to have Heath Bettag on there, guys. His description is where you can find him on YouTube. True Patriot, what he stands for, and we're all saying the same thing. We're just doing different avenues to get there. You know what I mean? And so, shout out to all that. Also, I'm going to whore for some likes, man. Guys, get on YouTube and like that. Get on Rumble and like that. Get on Facebook and like that. Share the show. Share the opportunity. Let other people see it. I don't ask for much, but I am going to ask for likes. You know what I mean? If I can get, I'll tell you this, Facebook and YouTube are probably not a forever deal. And the reason why is because they censor. We talked a lot about COVID tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't go back in a couple days and I get bumped or hit or a little X that shows me on YouTube because we are talking about something that they claim we weren't professionals about. And truly, I can show you what the United States government subcommittee, Senate subcommittees have deemed what COVID is. And per our government, with the information that they give us, shows that it didn't have an epidemiology. It didn't exist. Mostly they weaponized the flu and, they put this shit out on the whole world. So my suggestion to that would be that you would go to Rumble and you would make an account and you would follow the prompts on that. And then that way, if things get censored, Rumble never does. You can get on here and say and do what you want. They don't do that. I pay a premium to have Rumble to make sure that all of my content is put out on the air, and they save it in a whatever server that's out there in the cloud, so that I'm not storing all this and wiping out my memory. So, but honestly, if Resolute Exposure or Heath or anybody out there that's a patriot trying to tell people what's going on, whether it be local, state or federal or national, global, whatever it may be, that YouTube and Facebook and some of these others are, censorship heavy. So if you do go to Rumble, it's no different than YouTube. You just make an account, verify it with your cell phone to make sure that you're not a bot or you're not who you say you are. And then the perks of it are that if you become active on Rumble, then when you get invited to a show like mine, you can be more than just a guest. You can be a moderator, which means you can share some of the things that you have that interest you versus sending us the links where we have to pull it up and share it. You kind of do your own little thing. So Rumble is amazing. So guys, what a great show. Hit the like button, say something in the comment, go to Heath's YouTube page, YouTube page, check him out, like it, follow it, whatever it is, because it's all about the information that we're trying to spread and send. I appreciate all of the chat that was on Facebook, all of the chat that was on YouTube. Rumble, not YouTube. It seems we've had one or two that watched Facebook for, I don't know, a short period of time, and but they didn't comment or say anything. But anyway, to all of the new names that I see, looks like Noah's dad, 00001, and Late Night Ramblings. Appreciate that. Kim Tipton, who's been a supporter of mine probably since the beginning. I've known her since I've been 17 years old. Love the fact that she's on there. Miss at Real Ed Reno, wished he was on here, saying some stuff, because that man was a truck driver and he worked for FEMA for a little while. If I could get him on here, he's got some interesting stories, especially about cold storage units for food that sits in refrigerated units for years before it's passed out to, guess what, the local restaurants that you and I eat. And so some of that, because it's citizen journalists, people that are actually out there and doing it, that they're involved in it, makes that more relatable than a local news or national news outlet, whatever those three-letter agencies are. So with that being said, folks, you guys have a good evening, and we'll see you on Tuesday on Blount County Breakdown at 9 o'clock. Don't forget, we have Monty Fritz, June 10th at 7 o'clock. He's running for governor. He's running against Marsha Blackburn and Rose. I forget the other guy's first name or whatever. While we're live on the air, he's going to give us, well, we give everybody an hour with the Candid Conversation. I don't know that I'll get him for an hour. I was extremely surprised that they came on because of our little show, our little following that we have in here. But he likes what we were doing. Obviously, we got vetted a little bit, which I was fine with. When you get vetted by those kinds of people and they want to come on your show, that's probably a good thing, because like some of these others out there, like Tim Burchett, won't reply, won't call back, won't say anything, won't come on this show. And it's probably because we talk a lot of Blount County politics on Blount County Breakdown, and it gets a little bit of traction and people talk, but we want to invite him on to come on because he's been on national podcasts that I watch that are on Rumble. And these people are out in California, in North Dakota, which he affects none of them. But the district in which I live in is the one that he was elected into his position in Congress. So you would think that he would come on a show like mine before he would come on someone else's show. But that's fine. I have nothing bad to say about him right now. But he has the same opportunity. Would love to have him on. You know what I mean? Same thing with all you county commissioners out there. Love to have you on. Come on, we'll give you an opportunity to talk about what's going on and talk about the things that's going on. Quit running your mouth out there and trying to say that we are causing trouble or spreading lies. If the community is pushing the agenda on Facebook and talking about things, that's what this show is all about. And if that's not what your agenda about is on Thursday workshops and Thursdays meetings, I'm sorry, I can't help that. But that's what the community wants. And I can't help it you're not into the AI thing right now, but I was told by Misty Dawn Davis, it's coming up in the future, somewhere in July, I think, late June or July. It's going to be on the agenda, the AI. Why? Because it's going to affect Blount County eventually. It's going to affect the city of Maryville and the city of Alcoa. Whether it lands here or it doesn't, the community was talking about it. The state of Tennessee legislation made a law to make things a little bit harder on how the taxpayers are used to build the infrastructure for it and all that stuff. So it ain't a damn rumor. But it was obviously topic of conversation and they didn't like it. And so I don't know what to tell you. But what I can tell you is we're not telling lies. We are giving out the content and the information. When it's on WVLT and WBIR and we share it, it's the local news station, right? So if we try to get ahead of it, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? There's 21 commissioners in Blount County. I don't know how much is on the Alcoa or the city Maryville boards, but you have the opportunity to be as transparent as you want. And I promise I won't ask questions about what you voted on or whatever. We want to be cordial in this thing. We want to make sure that the public is getting the information that should be real. And we're tired of all of your fake accounts and your anonymous accounts and all your gatekeeping out there to try to change the narrative about what's going on. The county stood for something. It was kind of odd. They showed up because they don't like the AI thing, which is odd. That's the ground they decided to stand on. But I was happy to see it. They finally stood for something. They showed up at these commission board meetings. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying everybody on the commission is a bad apple, but what I am saying is we're not lying. We're telling the truth. And if we're wrong, correct us so that we get it right. And I'm not getting rid of any of my hosts on Blount County Breakdown. If you don't like the female or the other two gentlemen or me, you don't have to watch it. That's an option. Did you realize you had that? It's not like a forced thing. You know what I mean? So I'm not getting rid of any co-hosts. You're more than welcome to come on the same show with the co-hosts, and we'll talk about all things Blount County. So I'll leave it at that. But you guys have a blessed evening. I loved all of the insight in there with Heath tonight. And man, that made for a fantastic show. So with that being said, peace out. See y'all Tuesday on Blount County Breakdown at 9:00. I guess the talk of the town of that week will be whatever this investigation's going on within the internal departments of the Blount County Sheriff's Department, which is run by Sheriff Barong. And Mr. Allen, we already said that you're made for this. You fit this very, very well. You kind of, you fit in the mold. Alan Latham's welcome on this show anytime, and he's not a bad apple either. He is another guy, and here I am going on a grant. I'm supposed to be shutting the show off. He is another guy that's done all this crap in the county. I mean, he's been with all the utility departments. And if I'm wrong, Alan, I'm sorry. He's been on the sheriff's department. He's done all kinds of that stuff. You know what I mean? So his insight on a show like ours on a Tuesday night is great. While we're talking about it, Kristen Delaney, June 11th, Townsend. She found a way that they did some things wrong, and they have to present it back before the community again because the vote that they took was legal. It wasn't legal. Christina Delaney is a wonderful person. She's a wealth of knowledge and so much resources that she gives to the community of Townsend and in that area, so gracefully. She's a fantastic lady, and she likes our show. And so we're going to have her back on. You know what I mean? She's going to talk about what she's doing, her new adventures. Hopefully she promotes that thing on June 11th, that kind of thing. We've had all kinds of different people. Melissa Marinville, Jeff Coggin, Alan Latham, Matt Snow, Jason Payne, Farrah Williams Deck. Let's see, Catherine Lynn Smith Hall, Shayna Kirkland. Gosh, I know I'm missing somebody. Chris Mann. Let's see. All these people are fantastic. Austin Patton, love him or hate him. But they're all fantastic. Fantastic people. They're contributing some way in a positive direction that they want to see the county go into. So again, the commission out there, let your guard down. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to talk in the comments and add stuff to it and correct us if we're wrong. Don't be afraid to send out stuff when you know that things were voted this way or not. You know what I'm saying? This podcast is going to grow with the community as it grows. And when it does, it's the things that the community decides would run. I didn't get voted to any position whatsoever, but we sort of follow what the community is saying. Way better than anybody that's been elected to politics. So they don't want an AI data center. These boards in Blount County, Maryville, and Alcoa, they all know that. if one starts to appear because Oblinger decided to sell his private piece of property before they did a moratorium, or they put it in some sort of rezoning things where they made it harder than hell and just unpresentable to do it, well, they didn't listen to you. But yet they were voted in, and they asked you every 4 years for your vote. And they don't listen to you. And yet you get on Facebook and other social media outlets and you defend them, and they don't listen to you. And then you holler that these are rumors. And then 2 weeks later, it's not, it's real. And you're like, then you got these fake accounts coming at you because they're trying to control whatever you're saying about their buddy. You know what I mean? And so it just, this circle of life, and I love being involved in it. So, yeah, bring your asses on. You know what I mean? What's there to be worried about, right? We're felon friends, right? You know what I'm saying? And then, yeah, you know what I mean? So let's see. One more, I guess I'm trying to think about, I don't know, before I get off here. Did I miss anybody out there? I don't know. Anyway, I don't plan on going nowhere. My name is Brian Riley, and I'm not scared. Not afraid. We're just giving out information. And if we're wrong, we'll correct the information. No reason to be hateful or, whatever the case may be. And if you don't like my opinion, that's fine. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. So, but with that being said, because the chat's still going crazy. James Richards finally got in. He says, I just can't sit there. Yeah. Yeah, Alan's great. Matt's great. Robert's great. And look, I was out somewhere the other day and somebody bragged about Jason on the show, right? And so we love Jason. We tease him a little bit because he's quiet and then he pops up with this, explanation or whatever. Or, he gets on there, he's got a sucker in his mouth, or the next time he's got his AR out, whatever. Whatever. Do we tell him he can't do those things? Do we try to censor Jason? No. The man ran for commissioner, went door to door, talked to people, went to the vet and talked to the gentleman there, went to the Blount County Historical Society over there next to the damn probation office and talked to those people. He put his time in. He's a great guy. He's not going nowhere on the show. You know what I mean? We want him there. And when he chimes in, but he didn't believe that somebody thought that he was great. You know what I mean? I was like, usually it's Robert they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's me and Crystal that get all the negativity. You know what I mean? But when they brought up to Jason, I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I couldn't wait to tell him, So, yeah, Jason, for the foreseeable future, I love the crew that I got, and we welcome anybody else. Now, you'll get vetted. You want to come on the podcast, we know who you are. You're hardly communicating in the chat, this, that, and the other. We're going to do a little vetting, and we're going to talk to you, privately before, virtually too, before you come on the show and get a feel for you. But if we know you've been on the show before, we're out there in the community with you. You know what I mean? The invitation's there. Frankie Woody, please come on Blount County Breakdown and talk about how you love Sheriff Barong. He's my friend. I love Frankie Woody to death, but that man is a gatekeeper for Sheriff Barong. So please come on there and defend his black vehicles or whatever. The fact that he works 18-hour days, because he's out there getting it done. He's a working guy. You know what I mean? Because 37 years, right? So please. But Woody said he was a good guy because I had so many bad guys on the show, sort of like I'm paraphrasing, and he's just being funny about it, But yes, please come on the show. Come on the show. That's what it's about. And the more that we do this and the more it gets out there and the more people that share it, let's see where the podcast goes. Would like to be the podcast for Blount County. Kevin J. McNeil, that man's amazing with the information that he gets out there. He's a hound dog, He's got his nose to the ground. He finds it and he publishes it on there. He gives his opinion, and he does a fantastic job. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that I'm able to share what he has, And he says the same thing. If he's incorrect about something, let him know. He'll change it. You know what I mean? He's completely transparent. So these people, these are good people in the community. Well, you got Harry Grantham or whatever, another good one there. You know what I'm saying? 1440 a.m., that kind of stuff. So, okay, for real, I'm getting off. Who? Jason? Never heard of him. Oh, let's see. And then Jason Payne. And I just found out last night. Oh, wait. Oh, Jason, you're going to have to read it in the comments. Okay. Jason said that he found out last night that Misty Dawn Davis and her friends made anonymous accounts and discredited anyone associated with Felon and Friends. True or not, I don't know. I don't even care. Come on the show. Bring Misty and the rest of them. Crystal Mizell. Come on. Come on the show. Get on there. Get involved. But get involved in the positive way, Quit looking at us like we're negative. You know what I mean? Get in there and the information that you got, you know what I'm saying? And, just come on. Just let's have a good time with this. You know what I'm saying? Let's do what the community's interested in, which is transparency as close to fact as we can get, right? So that's what it's about. Heath was a great guest tonight. Great guest. Going to have him on again. So anyway, check out his YouTube. Again, like, share, follow my stuff. Get out there and watch it on YouTube. That kind of thing like that. And a shout out to everybody that, mentioned something inside the chat there. It's amazing when a community comes together that agrees. We're kind of like-minded. We don't always agree on how we got there. Maybe not agree on all the opinions either. But we all agree that some of these things are out of control. And it didn't matter how we voted. It still got further out of control. So, all right, guys. With that being said, peace out. You have a good evening. Love to all. And see you Tuesday on Blount County Breakdown at 9 o'clock. Resolute Exposure is a social media platform. Almost all content on Resolute Exposure is created by citizen journalists. I share content created by citizen journalists who I believe to be the best at finding facts buried deep into the abyss, or outlets who I believe to be best for verifiable information. We have to operate within their system, and we only have the information that they allow us to have. These citizen journalists who nerd out on fact-finding missions and then add their opinion to better inform me to make the best choice for me in this war of narratives is Resolute. This information war is a battle for your mind and ultimately compliance. While mainstream media dismisses social platforms as mere echo chambers for fake news, independent spaces like this prove that shared content and live dialogue actually foster deeper critical thinking. So, I am excited to share the content in hopes you'll turn off mainstream media, who I believe is just a version of entertainment. So again, welcome to Resolute Exposure.
My heart, pumping all day long. Get me the morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder